Recently, I went to see the movie Geostorm since it's about weather and I like weather, and I didn't care for it that much. I mean, it's a neat concept. Acting was alright, story was kinda dumb, but it brings up a really interesting, lightly unrealistic idea. Should people control the weather? Well, first off, I'm going to go about saying that making something to control the weather on this planet would be an insane undertaking, one that may almost not be possible. RealLifeLore discussed in the video about stopping a hurricane, how much power is in it and what it would take to stop it. Basically, it would take an insane amount of power, more than the world could feasibly make in our current state to control a single hurricane. Now, let's just say that the world did unite together and made some very large 9-volt batteries and slapped those onto a satellite to control every aspect of weather, like in Geostorm. What would the pros and cons of this be? Also, this would take an insane amount of manpower to watch all the weather that happens all the time on Earth. Major disasters is one thing, rain showers are another. So, what then are the pros and cons of this? What benefits do we get from controlling the weather in the first place? Well, something that can be stated right away is saving lives. Having the ability to end a massive, disastrous storm before it hits a major population area is a huge benefit if it means saving lives and people. This would also, of course, save money for the world as well. And as of 2017, which is not over yet, 15 of this year's major disasters alone are over $1 billion in damage each. And that's just 15. And that's mostly in the US, with Hurricane Harvey at $190 billion in damage. So spending a ton of money now to stop all these things from damaging people's homes and countries' infrastructure would save money in the long run. Possibly. I don't know how much the satellite would cost, and I'm sure that you have to pay all those scientists to watch the weather, and that's another large chunk of money. Plus, you gotta send things to space constantly for fuel. So, with this new system in place, we can stop hurricanes, fires, droughts, dust storms, and climate change. Might as well throw that in there since it already has so much power. Alright, so case closed. It's just better control the weather since we can just send rain when we need it. We can send, droughts when we need them. We can cool things down, heat things up. Everything's hunky-dory. And yeah, that's it. The end. No, not actually. I have more to cover. After all, I didn't discuss the benefits of natural disasters. And since I know this will be a touchy subject, I may as well hop right in and say that this isn't to say the lives lost in storms and disasters aren't important, because they are. A life is important and should be treated as such. All I'm here to do today is discuss these powerful forces of nature, how they work, and how they benefit the environment. Something to understand is that all these cycles of weather ranging from hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, tsunamis, volcanoes, floods, and droughts benefit the environment in one way or another. That's right, droughts can benefit the environment. I'll discuss that a little later, but I first want to begin with hurricanes since I'm pretty sure that's still fresh on everyone's mind. Hurricanes, also called cyclones and typhoons depending where you live, are immense storms, the most powerful on Earth, reaching wind speeds of almost 200 miles per hour with some gusts recorded as high as 215 miles per hour. Tornadoes can actually have higher wind speeds though, reaching near 300 miles an hour, with the fastest on record being 318 miles per hour, the fastest recorded winds on Earth. So how do these disastrous behemoths benefit us? Well, hurricanes bring much needed rains to areas in droughts or in lack of rain, so that is actually kind of important when you bring rains to a region. And something else they do is stir up the ocean. They bring about the nutrients found on the bottom and throw them onto the land, as well as islands that need those nutrients. Otherwise, they're not going to get much in the way of nutrients. As well as spreading nutrients, they spread seeds of plants and wildlife. They help trees and plant populations grow and thrive by dispersing seeds across that and bringing in the new nutrients and tearing away limbs of trees and other stuff that needs to be taken out sometimes. There's now room for new plants to grow. Something else that is actually really important that hurricanes do is regulate the Earth's heat. They disperse it from the equator towards the poles. That is really important because if we didn't have hurricanes, our planet would be a lot warmer at the equators and colder near the poles. One other thing they do is take out bad algae. They choke up waters like red tide, chokes up the water, deprives it of oxygen, but hurricanes come and break it all up. So hurricanes can be devastating, yes, but they also benefit the land in quite a few ways. Tornadoes are kind of similar. They, disperse seeds, they provide nutrients for the soils, they help take down dead plants or dead trees that they need to be taken out so new plants can come into the area and thrive as well. And they also bring rains, of course. But let's talk about the other end of those. Let's talk about fires, which isn't really the other end, but I needed to transition. Wildfires are very common where I live in California, especially if you go further south toward Los Angeles. Now, you may be wondering, what are the pros of wildfires? Well, for starters, fire starters, I gotta stop with these. Fire provides nutrients and helps rid debris off of the forest floor, or dead plants needing to be removed. In fact, in some areas, like in the Sierra Nevada mountains near where I live, some species of pine tree, and by some I mean most, cannot reproduce without fire. In order for their seeds to be dispersed, pine cones have to reach some very hot temperatures in order to open up and spread those seeds inside. No sunny day is going to do that. Plus, they also help plants. Most often, after an area has experienced wildfire damage, it comes back greener with new plants in the area. They provide nutrients for the soil. Like most of the time, you're going to hear nutrients of the soil from me. Since we talked about fires, let's jump to the other end of the spectrum, water, particularly tsunamis. They do some similar things that hurricanes do. Plus, they also help widen beaches, create new beaches, and help wildlife along those shorelines. After a major tsunami hit Chile, they noticed some of the beaches had widened, and a lot of the plant life that was gone from that area came back. After the beaches widened, some animals came back as well. Tsunamis also redistribute nutrition from the ocean. They spread sea life. A lot of life and how it functions and lives is due to weather. Of course, I can't say all this without talking about the other end of the tsunami spectrum, droughts. Some parts of the world actually have frequent droughts. Africa, India, and of course, where I live in the western US. Droughts act as a time of cleansing, per se. When the land dries up, so does life sometimes. But not all of it. Drought allows certain species to thrive. They dwindle the numbers of other species and keep down their populations. Like in Africa, where you have a lot of grazing animals, a drought will drop down the population, which prevents a lot of the plant life from being overeaten. Of course, there's predators to help knock down the population as well, but it's part of a natural cycle. This also helps animals with passing on genes of those who survive these harsh conditions, preparing future generations for climatic events that will happen in their lifetime. This is all just a cycle. With rains and droughts, a lot like tides of the ocean. Rains come and rains go. That's one of the biggest things to take away from all this. These are natural cycles of our home and how it works. These systems all have pros and cons, of course, but it's probably best left alone. Plus, someone would take advantage of the system and use it as they please, probably for attacking people, like in that movie. Also, many of the Earth's features we have today are made from natural disasters. Parts of Utah, Oregon, and Idaho especially too. They were carved out from a natural dam of Lake Bonneville, bursting forth and carving out those valleys in a short period of time. Of course, there's a lot more pros and cons that I didn't get a chance to cover due to time, but I thought I'd share a little bit about these natural disasters and their benefits. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on making a giant world air conditioner. Feel free to leave some of your thoughts down below and let's have some fun discussing ideas and the like. Thank you for your time and have a great day.